Yo, what's good everybody? Welcome back to the channel. So listen, we gotta talk about what's going down with Frank Castle right now, because this arc is seriously something else. And not gonna lie, when I first read through this, I was like, okay, this is low-key one of the darkest Kingpin depictions in a Punisher story I've seen in a minute. So, let's get into it. Alright, so we pick up with Frank Castle, and dude is cooked, like legitimately messed up. He's washed up on a Brooklyn beach, barely breathing, shot to pieces, and this woman named Judy finds him with her dog. And here's the thing, Judy's got a good heart, right? She's trying to help this random dude who looks like he went 12 rounds with a freight train. She brings him inside, starts patching him up, but then she realizes just how bad his head injury is, and she's like, nah, this ain't right. I gotta call the cops. So she's on the phone, voice all shaky, telling emergency services, yeah, I got this stranger in my house, found him by the shore, he's shot up, nearly drowned, head trauma. And you can hear the panic building in her voice. But while she's doing this, Frank's already up and moving. This man is built different. He goes down to the basement looking for weapons, specifically guns that belong to Judy's dead husband who used to hunt up in the Catskills. And here's where it gets sketchy. Judy's still on the phone like, he wants guns. He keeps asking for guns. He's a bad man. I can see it now. A very bad. Boom. Frank shoots the telephone rack. Just straight up ends the call with a gunshot. Judy's standing there like, oh dear. And Frank just coldly tells her, keys. She's terrified, stammers that they're in the car, and you just know this woman is regretting every decision that led to this moment. Now cut to Kingpin. And yo, this is where the story gets hella philosophical and disturbing at the same time. Kingpin's sitting in his office, watching Frank on monitors, tracking his every move like some twisted puppet master. And his thoughts start spilling out, dark and raw. He says, most humans are cannibals, I've decided. They feed on others, but not you and I, Frank. We eat ourselves. Kingpin's basically saying they're different from other people, not because they're better, but because they consume themselves through the horror they witness and the pain they choose to carry. He goes on, we eat our eyes when we see the torn flesh and broken bones of the victims all around us. We eat our ears when we choose to listen to their screaming and sobbing. We eat our hearts when we allow ourselves to care. Kingpin's literally explaining how caring about the victims destroys them from the inside. And then he tells Frank about this shipment at the Red Hook container terminal, a shipping container full of people being trafficked for sexual slavery. The logistics have been swapped multiple times to hide that it came from Kurdistan, not Costa Rica. And Kingpin gives Frank the mission, go eat, Frank, eat for both of us. And that's clutch because it shows this twisted partnership they have. Kingpin can't do the dirty work himself, or won't, so he's using Frank as his weapon. Kingpin says that if that container enters Manhattan, it's game over. Too late to save those people. Meanwhile, Frank doesn't even hesitate. He gets in Judy's car and just drives straight through the garage door. Wood and metal flying everywhere. This man is on a mission and nothing's gonna stop him. Now here's where it gets even more disturbing. Kingpin's in this room, shirtless, and he's whipping himself, like full-on self-flagellation. This dude is living out some twisted penance ritual while monologuing about Frank. He says, nothing matters except his target. His vision has narrowed down to a scope's focus, and the Hull El Carry tunnel might as well be the rifle's barrel he's hurtling down. Kingpin is inside him, like a finger curled around a trigger. Yo, that imagery is wild. The tunnel as a rifle barrel, Frank as the bullet, that's some poetic, dark stuff right there. And this whole time, Kingpin's describing himself as being inside Frank's head, controlling him. It's giving major Inception vibes, but way darker. Like Kingpin planted the idea, and now Frank's executing it without question. Frank speeds toward the tunnel and sees an oil tanker. Without thinking, he raises his shotgun, and boom, fires at it. The whole thing erupts in flames, creating this massive wall of fire that shuts down the tunnel entrance. And Kingpin's watching, explaining that this prevents interference and avoids civilian casualties. Frank can work without cops swooping in. Cut to Police Plaza. Detective Pluto's working a murder investigation when Detective Fishback comes through with the lead. They got a call about a guy matching Frank's description. Half drowned, shot up, Found on the Brooklyn side. Some old lady tried to help him and he jacked her car. Pluto's immediately on it, telling Fishback to coordinate with Brooklyn CSI. Get DNA, check on the woman, the whole 9 yards. He's gonna plug the license plates into the system and track Frank through surveillance. Now there's this voiceover, and honestly, this part gave me chills. It's talking about Frank, but it's describing him in this way that's low-key terrifying. He cannot fly. He cannot portal through space or time. He cannot read minds, and he cannot punch through concrete. No gods or demons will answer to his call. He has no cursed or mystical weapons in his arsenal. He fights with muscle and steel. He is the most frightening of any. He doesn't want to save or conquer the world. He doesn't covet fame or wealth or power. His only purpose is to hurt. That's what makes Frank Castle so scary. He's not superpowered. He's just a man with guns and an unbreakable will. But that singular focus on punishment, that makes him more dangerous than half the powered beings in the Marvel Universe. Frank catches up to the semi-truck in the tunnel and starts unloading on it. He shoots out the tires and the driver's firing back through the window, screaming, "No, you're dead. The Punisher is dead and gone." And that line is legit perfect because it shows how everyone thought Frank was done. But here he is, back and more relentless than ever. Frank parks his car, steps out, and just starts blasting the semi with shotgun rounds. The driver's losing it, shouting about how Frank's supposed to be dead. Meanwhile, and this is where everything comes together, we see Kingpin in what can only be described as an A Clockwork Orange torture setup. He's got a man strapped to a chair. Kingpin's thanking him. "I wanted to thank you. Everything's been going just as I hoped. I couldn't have done this without you, Micro. I needed someone who knew Frank better than anyone." Yo, it's Micro, guys. Kingpin's been using Micro, Frank's former ally and tech guy, to manipulate Frank into doing his bidding. And then Kingpin drops this line. "I understand you're suffering, but we're all in pain. We hurt so the city can heal." That's some cold, calculated villain talk right there. Kingpin's justifying all this torture and manipulation as necessary for the greater good. But really, he's just using everyone as pieces on a chessboard. Back at the police station, Detective Fishback's in the parking lot coordinating with Brooklyn Forensics when Tombstone sneaks up behind him. Dude presses cold steel to Fishback's neck and is like, "Let's you and me take a little ride. How about?" To Brooklyn. So now the cops investigating Frank are compromised too. Everything's falling apart. In the tunnel, Frank hits the semi-driver's left hand with a shot. The driver's screaming, flooring the gas, trying to run Frank over. But Frank just drops prone. Calm, calculated, professional, and the driver's losing his mind yelling, "Why won't you stay dead?" And that's where we end, fam. So let's talk about what's really going down here. This story is exploring some seriously dark themes about violence, manipulation, and the cost of caring. Kingpin's whole philosophy about eating ourselves speaks to this idea that good people destroy themselves by bearing witness to evil, that the act of caring is self-destructive. And he's positioned Frank as his weapon, someone who'll do the horrific work that needs doing while Kingpin stays in the shadows, pulling strings. The relationship between Kingpin and Frank is like this twisted partnership between a king and his knight. Kingpin even calls it out, the White King and his Black Knight. Frank's being used, but the scary part is, he might not even care as long as he gets to punish the guilty. And Micro being tortured, that's the real gut punch. This was Frank's friend, his tech support, and now he's being used against Frank while suffering unimaginable pain. It adds this layer of tragedy to everything because Frank doesn't even know he's being manipulated. Not gonna lie, this run is doing something different with the Punisher. It's not just Frank shoots bad guys. It's examining the psychology of punishment, the cost of justice, and how easily even someone like Frank can become a tool for someone else's agenda. So yeah, that's where we're at with Frank Castle right now. Dude's out here thinking he's cleaning up the streets when really, he's dancing on Kingpin's strings. And with Micro being tortured and the cops closing in, things are about to get even more intense. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Frank's gonna figure out he's being played? And what do you think about Kingpin's whole "we eat ourselves" philosophy? Let me know down below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss another breakdown. Alright fam, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next breakdown. Stay dope. Peace.